I mean, I've watched you get kicked out of your fair share of football games.
When I'm coaching, I'm very possessive. That's my baby. So it started off as a friendship.
Like, I'll bear a body for you. More than just loyalty, but like, if we got to go do it, let's go.
I might need you. My daughter, I have a teenage daughter starting to date.
Busyness of work, my friendships, and my kids. So for me, I'm just trying to be highly strategic or maybe just really lazy. If like, how can I be a good dad?
I've never shared this story with you, actually.
This is the Unleash Your Purpose podcast.
All right, well, welcome back to Unleash Your Purpose podcast with your host, Ryan Centers. I'm really excited for our guest today. He has multiple names in my life, more than just bromance, best friend. He's Uncle Mike to my kids. Yes. How I met him was Coach Mike. To this day, his name in my phone will always be Coach Mike. And my favorite is DJ Miguel. And that is for...
That'd be another time.
Another time, or maybe later. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Welcome to our first guest. Aren't you very amazed by this studio?
No, this is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been watching it in construction this whole time. Yeah. And yeah, man, it's been a crazy ride. When I think about like a friendship and like the depth of our friendship and what you've taught me about faith and fatherhood and manhood, it's been like a long journey. And I'm like, I think back, do you remember when we met? How we met?
Yes, actually, I've never shared this story with you, actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we met, I don't know how long ago now. It was about 2017 or 18, I think is when we met, 17.
Yeah, our kids played football together, or basketball.
Yeah, so...
They were like this big.
Yeah, our kids started playing basketball.
So about 7 years ago?
Yeah, I was the coach, head coach, and I was looking for an assistant because I was leaving for the military. And so my very first time meeting was, hey, I'm Coach Mike. You want to help coach? Like, yeah, okay. All right. Well, I'm leaving for the military for 3 weeks. So can you coach these kids? And you're like, sure, I'll do it. So yeah. That's how we met. Started coaching. Coaching's always been my element.
We went on to have a winning season because you were gone.
Yeah, it was all for you, right? And I got back, Ryan did his thing. It took a little bit of questioning by my part. When I'm coaching, I'm very possessive. That's my baby. So yeah. You learn that very quickly. I was coaching, you jumped in, and not knowing who you were, everybody who knows Ryan is,
knows I'm controlling,
networking, and loves to just talk to people and get to know people. So he's talking to all the parents. He's talking to my wife, and I'm like,
and not coaching.
I don't know this guy, so I'm like, who is this guy?
Well, he's hitting on my wife.
He's like, hitting on my wife. I go, well, I hope he's gay. I mean, I hope so.
Exactly.
He's talking to the all the parents. I'm like, he's just now I know that's who who you are. It's your personality. But then I'm like, who is this guy? So kind of a puff up the chest moment at first, but
and we so him and we have coached basketball, football. We did some clinics together because one of our things I think probably that has brought us close together is that we're not just going to sit and have a podcast conversation that's kind of awkward in general, just sitting and talking, but doing an activity together and surrounded by our kids and the mission and developing a team. I mean, I've watched you get kicked out of your fair share of football games.
That's that too. Yeah, not my proudest moment.
But I've also watched you huddle these kids after a defeat and tell them like these moments are what you're made of.
Yeah, no, definitely. Coaching throughout the years, coaching the kids is when finding your purpose or whatever is that's the biggest thing. Is finding purpose. Coaching the kids is like the biggest thing.
Yeah. Like I would say for you, as I've got to know you through the years, when you think about purpose and significance, probably at a core of it is there's a thread of it, and there's probably multiple pieces of it. Yeah. But like a thread of that, or like a common area is coaching, or like maybe that's the tool that you use for your purpose. But like it's like investing in kids, helping them rise up to become like the next better version of themselves. Like if you had to like put your finger on it, how would you kind of describe that?
Like without the years, us becoming real close, I've always told you my purpose, and when I found when me and my wife got jumped into our faith and gave our marriage to God, gave our lives to God, I was right before we met. Yeah. And so all aligning, finding my faith, giving it all to God. I gave up coaching. So I coached high school sports for like 10 plus years. I thought that was my dream growing up. Like, hey, I'm going to be an NFL coach. I'm going to be an NBA coach. And quickly I was trying to make that into a profession, not a purpose. And so when I found my faith, I got into law enforcement. I found my dream career. And then kind of fell out of coaching because, certain busyness is life. But then I got back into coaching and really found that purpose to like coaching youth and being able to coach faith and sports at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like, and then you coach it with your best friends. Like, what better, hobby? It's a purpose and a hobby. It's not my full-time job, but it's my hobby. It's my passion, as you found out over the years. It's what you can teach, kids about their faith in sports and how you get knocked down, you get back up. Like, there's no greater story. There's no greater, thing to coach than that.
Yeah, there's probably the real life examples are just when you're coaching sports. There's nothing better. Mm-hmm. In the midst of failure, you get back up. Yeah. That you learn how to be a good sport and you compete with your full force, but you're still, like, you treat people well on the field and all of that. And I've honestly, I'm going to be honest, I've won a few championships as a youth sport. Yeah. And the only
you've had a really good mentor.
Exactly. I did not know what the hell I'm doing. I still, to this day, I'll make my play sheets and I'll have to text him. I say, hey, what do you think of this? He's like, dude, that's terrible. That's terrible. What are you even doing? I'm like, you know what? I saw this on a YouTube because I've learned it either from you or from YouTube. So
that's how I've gotten to coach in a lot of sports is YouTube. So.
Exactly. So when you think about your passion and purpose, it's like been so ingrained in helping develop people. Uh-huh. And I was thinking for kids and for this mission in life, like, we're both dads, have a busy life, and I'm like, when I'm trying to figure out my purpose and how do I integrate all of my busyness of work, my friendships, and my kids. So for me, I'm just trying to be highly strategic or maybe just really lazy. Of like, how can I be a good dad and get rid of the dad guilt? So, all right, I'll not just be the dad that sits on the sidelines. I'll coach my kid. And so we can talk about it. And then I'm going to coach with my best friend. So I hit two birds with one stone. Get to hang out with my buddy, get to invest in my kids, and then help. We did it in a church league, so you help integrate faith all at once. So it was like the trifecta for us.
Oh, definitely. And
it was probably some of the best joys of our life. And now our kids are in club sports, and they've graduated way beyond me.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how the relationships start. That's how you become. We become brothers, not just friends. That's how friendship grows. That's how I became Uncle Mike, is by starting to coach your kids, and then I treat them like my own, love them like my own, and that's how they turn into that's how I turn into Uncle Mike. And seeing their relationship, our friendship grow over the years. Where at first it was like every other guy, when you meet somebody, it's like, hey, I'm interested in you, but I have that wall up like men have, right?
Yeah.
And it took us a few years to actually grow it.
Like we working out together. Yeah. When we lift it, that kind of helps break down some walls.
Yeah.
Talking about life. And
so we met through, and I always told you, we met, it wasn't through work. It wasn't through a business deal. Yeah. Wasn't through anything. It was just by coaching, hey, our kids play together. You want to, start hanging out. And again, it didn't, that first year or so, it was more, we coached together. It was, hey buddy, how you doing? What's a couple dinners? Finally introduced our wives, and they became best friends. But if you think about it, those first few years, it was like, hey, we're good buddies, but we're not that. It wasn't relational quite yet until we started peeling, just like men do. You have to peel
the onion.
Men, you got to peel the onion with men, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I know you. My wall's up. We can talk about sports. We can talk about politics. A few things that men talk about around the barbecue with the beer in their hand.
Yep.
But until you get deep with somebody and let your guard down, that's when you truly can find like a best friend. Like I think we're talking before this. Like I think we're bromances. Like bromances are good. They're I see a guy at the gym. He's he's big. He's big. I want to hang out with that guy. And the bromance kind of starts there, or somewhere else through business, a bromance. You see it on social media. But for me and you, again, it wasn't.
It's like a brotherhood.
Yeah, it started off as a friendship.
Like, I'll bury a body for you. More than just loyalty, but like, if we got to go do it, let's go.
I might need you. My daughter, I have a teenage daughter starting to date. I might need you.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and now our kids are preteens and teenagers, and it's just starting to freak us out. And I remember the day I convinced him to move to South Phoenix, which is remember, like, there was gunshots in the area. You know, you were a little bit dramatic, Mr. Law Enforcement, falling on the ground after one little gunshot.
Yeah,
I mean,
just walking the dog one night and gunshots going off at us. So.
And I was trying to convince him to move in the neighborhood with me because I lived over there because I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
You're
about that life. That's what kids say, right?
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. And I got you to move over there, and we made a big.
You had plans to build the village out there. Hey, you move out here, let's do this, and you're selling a good game. It's like, are we joining a cult or what are we doing?
You know what? It's a community. I am a big believer that the best life that you have is like this integrated life of friends, a family. You're all on mission together, and you're trying to like do something. So we're like trying to help make these kids thriving young people who love the Lord, who want to make a difference in the world. We have our Ohana ministries that we're trying to help all these foster kids. I'm like, I need an army. Like, and I got one life. I'm like, I want to work and do life with my best friends. Yeah. So thank God we don't work together, but it's like we do because we're always together, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, if I worked with you, I'd probably hate you.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
But it also,
like, if we got to make a compound, like we could. I mean,
we could serious compound.
Oh, I know.
That actually sounds pretty nice.
Yeah.
We should start planning like somewhere out in Texas where we can build a compound.
I just heard like Mark Zuckerberg is bought like hundreds of acres in Hawaii right now. Yeah. And they're building like these underground bunkers and like 30 different complexes. Like these wealthy people must know something that we don't. Right. But I could make this happen. Get off the grid, just go live life in a community. And the old days. I don't know.
We couldn't do that though. We'd have to still have people do stuff for us. We're not very labor-like, man.
I know. Before he came in here, I had to set up this beautiful printed picture of this buffalo.
It's crooked, by the way.
Oh, shut up. It is slightly my slightly crooked picture here, and I bent the nail as I was hanging it up.
It's the first time I've ever seen you have a hammer in your hand.
Yeah. These hands have calluses only from lifting weights, but they're lotioned regularly.
But going back to like...
Thank you. Bring us back, please.
But going back to what you said about building your community, right?
Yeah.
And I always talk about, like, when you hear it in church, you have that vertical relationship with you and God, but, the outstretched hands, who's your community, right? So, who you have around you, and, we're at the time of our lives we coach together, and now kids are older, so now we have time for the same way. I have time for work, my family, and sports, and somewhere in there I gotta whatever. But we always make time for each other, because when you have that community, you find time for people that make you better, not bring you down, or talk bad about you, or you want to be around when you have limited time. You want to be around people who.
Yeah. I am too old to hang around people that don't encourage me, lift me up, and want to make things better. Yeah. And that I can goof off and have a whiskey with and enjoy life.
Definitely.
I'm like, that's just like, no, I'm not going to be hanging out with a bunch of people I don't want to, that don't do those things for me. Mm-hmm. I was thinking back to, this is kind of like in the thinking back to like Bible times, there was always a community. They had like multiple families all together. Like the New Testament is like they called it oikos, where they all kind of came together and worked together. And in the 1950s and 60s, it was all about like this nuclear family, like mom, dad, and the kids. And it was just about that. And it was just like a happy time. And I think now, like the pressures of today's world, it's too difficult. And it's almost like sets you up for failure if it's just you and the kids. Yeah. Or you have to have community. You have to have a safety net to lean onto. Like my kids come to you for advice, not just about sports, but about life, about manhood. They watch how you treat your wife, and it paints a picture for them. Yeah. Like when your kid's going through hard times, it's a community, and you kind of weave this life together that is way more like helps carry the load and the burden for one another. I'm like, how do people live this life, just move across the country and do it on their own? I feel like it's miserable.
Yeah.
And like, you got to have purpose. Purpose is having community and this group around you.
Definitely. There's plenty of times where I've dropped everything to come over here, or same vice versa. I had my kids going through stuff. You take them to lunch and, hey, what's going through your mind? Or you're going through trouble and need somewhere to just come talk to the kids. I drive right over, and not many people you can trust to do that.
Remember that crazy time back when we were living in South Phoenix together, and I had my 19-year-old son, 19-year-old son at the time, who had a mental illness stuff, and there was a big blow up at the house. He was screaming, I was screaming, and I called you because I needed you to help de-escalate the situation as a brother, and because it was just hot in our house, and you raced over there and grabbed him and took him to your house.
Yeah, without a question.
Yeah.
It was, you always think of the movies. You call your best friend, hey, I need you to come over. What was it, that movie, The Town? I always come back, hey, I need you to come over. We're just going to hurt somebody. We can never ask me about it again. And the next thing he says is, whose car are we taking? So obviously it wasn't hurting anybody, but for you to call me and say, I need you, I don't have to ask any questions. I don't have to say, hey, what for, why now? I just,
and that's community. Like, how do people live in this world nowadays and not have the brother they can call to someone that they can, to get in that, be in the corner, that when there is crisis or when your marriage is struggling, like, who's going to pray for you?
It goes back to peeling that onion, and guys that have the secret shield or that force field. Hey, we can only talk about this. Hey, how are you? Hey, good. Hey, Ryan, how are you? I'm good too. But in reality, most men, and you're like, well, I'm just waiting for you to say, man, I'm struggling in life right now. I'm struggling at home. The kids are going through this. We don't know that as men because we have that, hey, what's up? And just keep it. We're so macho. And, we both can attest that we still go through that. And we still struggle with that, right? But to have
someone... Now you call each other out on our bullcrap.
Exactly. So now to have someone to say, hey, you're not good. Tell me what's going on. Hey,
you don't know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No, I know you.
You know what you're going through. You've been through, me with struggling, with my kids struggling, when I was struggling, when, my mom died. Like, you've been in all those moments, and even when we've been in almost fist fights. We've been.
I know it sounds like this.
Fist fight
sounds like a marriage.
Well, the fist fight would have ended real quickly. But
would have.
But we've cried
together.
And
we weren't fighting with you. Oh no, that was when are you talking about when in Cancun?
No, I'm talking about the time we almost
That's a different day.
When you're trying to get me to move to Levine.
Oh yeah, I was trying to build this compound. I had the vision for the compound, and you weren't all in.
I said, no, I'm taking a shot at. We're going to take our family out west.
I said, you're not hardcore enough.
Yeah.
So he left, and then months later, I left.
Yeah, right. But we were at a party, I remember, and we started talking outside, and we were like face to face, screaming at each other. Our good buddy Kevin's there, and he sat out there for a few minutes, and he's like, I'm gonna go inside now. Our wives came back from the store. They looked at us and straight inside. It's like, all right, we're having a moment. Don't bother us.
Yeah.
And
we hugged it out.
Yeah.
Did we cry it out?
Probably. And
anybody else?
Anybody else walking by, or even our wives probably are like, what are they? Why are they crying? Why are they?
And this probably seems like over dramatic for a lot of people, but in reality, like, the onion got peeled back.
Yeah.
And we had like this deep sense of trust and a level of like vulnerability, I guess would be the word. Like, you're like being real with each other and like, hey, I love you. I want to do this community with you. And like, I'm struggling.
We got to a point over the years now where I think we even get mad at each other now than when we don't call each other out, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I was doing this. You saw that I was doing this. Yeah. Why didn't you call me out?
Yeah.
I just needed someone to call me out. Why didn't you? Rather than, again, it goes back to why so many have that. Because so many men can watch their best friend or a guy doing something wrong and they're just like, well, that's his life. I don't care.
Yeah, I do not need another bro that I can just go drink a beer with or golf with.
Yeah.
I need a brother who will call me up to call me to be better.
Yeah.
And and if you're not able to do that, then it's like, man, well, what's the point of this life? Yeah. I'm like, we're all trying to get better as husbands, as dads, as leaders in our community, and like you're there to sharpen each other.
Like, sharpen
iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had those moments, but we've also built so many
fun
crazy moments with our families that
remember the last summer. So we created these traditions. Our families vacation together almost every year.
We're big on traditions, I guess.
We're big into traditions. We have launched the most epic family talent show that is legendary.
Yeah.
It's on all of TikTok, YouTube. It has thousands of views. Did you know that?
TikTok famous.
Yes, you are. Yeah. And we have created this, it's called My Last Name Center, Saucedas. So it's Sensata Extravaganza. It started off with just our families during COVID, where we'll do talent shows where kids will sing. We
traveled a lot
dance.
during COVID, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And we gained some. But
yeah, go ahead.
We gained some pounds, some lbs, and so we would do different skits together. The wives, the
it started out that one year during COVID.
Went to Mexico.
We're in the suburban with all our kids, and the Whoop There It Is comes on, and the whole family's getting there. We get to the hotel and come up with some talent show to make sure the kids are having a good time.
First one is like I'm just your arms and pretending like I'm putting on makeup you as
that was probably the funniest one, but that was the first one.
That was the first, and now this last year, the Sensata Extravaganza has not just been 2 families. Now we have like 15 families, probably 30 adults, 50, 60 kids.
It's probably 60 total, yeah.
Yeah, and we take over an entire resort inside Rocky Point.
Yeah.
And we plan an entire night. We bring a speaker. We have a lineup of all of our different...
It's like a production show.
It's a production. It is.
Yeah, we got to get this set out there to kind of get us on YouTube again.
And that last year, we had this infamous dance that we do.
Oh, yeah.
It's very... It's an elegant dance.
It's very in the theater. It's very dramatic. I mean, you'd probably see it on like a Broadway show or some kind of ballet show. I think we can get in somehow.
Yeah, and it takes months of rehearsal.
What does it look like? While we're talking, can they be playing it in the background here?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be pretty funny.
So, but maybe that we wanted to do some improv like karate ahead of time, like a karate.
Well, we've done this dance
so
3 years in a row.
Yeah,
so the first year,
it's classic.
Yeah, the first year he came and he's like, "Why don't we put some tutus on and a beach ball?" And I'm like, "You had me at tutu and beach ball. Let's go, bud." You know. So we did a dance and
beach ball ballet.
Beach ball, yeah, and we danced and the family loved it. So then the second year, we have to do it again.
Level it up.
Yeah, we have to level it up. Came up with some more dance. I let you handle the dance routine.
Yeah.
I might take that over now.
Probably should.
We did second year. So this third year, we're like, we got to level it up, right? But we can't do it normal. We can't
so he goes on Amazon and purchases like karate costumes that we have, and we have this choreographed dance or a fight.
Yeah,
fight that you.
I was like, we can't normalize it, and everybody's gonna know what's coming. So we have to act like we're not doing it. So I come up with an idea like, hey, why don't we act like we're gonna fight? The whole family has seen us argue and want to fight before. Like
they know Ryan and Mike fight,
and we argue all the time. Who's stronger? Who's this? So I'm like, it's gonna make sense. The dads are just gonna puff up their chests, and so we planned this karate fight.
Yeah, and I get so excited, and I'm so wound up. I'm like, I'm gonna beat his ass, and I literally supposed to fake punch him like WWE, or was it a kick? I like drop kicked him full speed and knock him by his head, and he drops to the ground and passes out for a few seconds.
I might have had a concussion. I was supposed to duck or you were supposed to.
I was so fast. No, I'm like a ninja.
And
I was like a legit.
You squat so much, those big legs can't get off the floor anymore. So he hit me like full on, boom, seeing stars. I'm like, this is it. I got knocked out like Ryan.
But you finished the dance strong, baby.
Yeah, that wasn't at the dance. It was a karate scene.
Yes,
I'm like, I still had a dance.
Yeah. You're like, I'm like, no, get your crap together.
I had to throw up on the
side. Get under my legs. Oh my God. So embarrassing.
So I might have ruined our dance routine a little bit, but I finished.
Yeah, I think next year we have to change it up. I think, do we retire that, or are we just waiting out?
We just got to break it out of nowhere.
Next level.
Next
so
level.
Now I'm getting ready for my 40th birthday, and we're doing the Sensata Extravaganza, renting out all of the villas. There's like 8 villas, a bunch of condos. And we're gonna do a big party,
and
then that Sensata Extravaganza better.
We don't even need people.
I need a private a song from you. Like you need to sing something.
Start prepping.
Yeah,
happy birthday song, maybe Mr. President wins world type stuff.
Yeah,
but you think too when we go like, our families watch, but it's gotten so big that random people at the hotel walk by, they sit down and watch it, don't even know us, and we're like, hey, how can we help you? Like, oh, this is entertaining. So we've literally taken over Rocky Point years in a row.
Yes.
That's what started on a little friendship, us coaching together.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously our better halves, our wives, are a big contribution to this.
Yeah,
but
they'll dress up as Britney Spears.
They dressed up as us before and had a romance. Right.
But I think the biggest thing is like, we can be ridiculous with our kids and make them laugh so hard, and we laugh and don't take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
But then we can all go do ministry and fight for these kids together. And it's like, we all have each other's back. So it's like, for me, I'm like, hey, I vacation. We all vacation together, work together. And it's this integrated life that's like, this is like, to me, I have this tattoo, heaven on earth. But I'm like, that's heaven on earth. Like, if I have this one life, this is the life I want to live, honestly.
And then when you're going through, you can have those good times, but when you're going through hard times, you're going through whatever you are with your family, you can say, hey, no fun times. I need you here for this. And we can come right over. So it's, we spent Christmas together a few years now, and we keep up that tradition. So it's really, the heaven on earth is just building that community that, what you can have no matter how many mileages, right? You go back to when we were fighting, you live so far. And it's like, it's just the car ride away. We drop everything to come over here, and you guys do the same for us. So it's,
Yeah, I guess, when I think about, this podcast and the vision of it is to help people unleash their purpose. And so much of figuring out your purpose in your life is finding the right people to be on the bus with you.
Definitely.
The right people to be in your life, to be in your corner, that you want to fight with, but then also just enjoy this one life we have.
Yeah.
And help our kids experience these great joys and great memories together, and know they have aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews. And
it's finding your purpose, but it's living for your purpose too.
Ooh,
right? Like you're finding your purpose, but then, finding your purpose in business or whatever on your side. And then in my profession, finding my purpose in my job. But, I always say my job is not who I am, right? So that's not my purpose. That's my job. They can blend in, right? What I do in law enforcement and my life, my walk of faith can always blend in. But who I am is outside, is Uncle Mike, is, best friend. It's
Dr.
husband.
Centers.
Is what?
Dr. Centers.
Dr. Centers. I'm sorry. I don't think I ever called you that ever.
And I never will.
Yeah, right. I don't think I'll start now. But I think just when you find your purpose is living for that purpose too, and living out that purpose is what I'm here, here for. And I think, if I think back about it now, is, when I was finding my purpose or finding my faith in what I want to do, my marriage lined up, my parenting lined up, my life lined up, a job lined up for me that I was praying on. And then, like, if you get all sentimental about it, that's when I started coaching with you. And you just like, if you think about the things God does and things God puts in your life that you don't see until, years later, like, wow, like that moment, I could have not coached, or I could have put my kids in a different season, stars program or whatever. And for that reason, met you, didn't know who you are, didn't know who this guy talking to parents like crazy was, didn't know if I was going to like you or not. And years later, this is what it's built to. So, when you find your purpose, you just start realizing all the things that
go you're kind of walking it out.
Yeah, definitely.
And enjoying it. So like I think about I like to end every podcast with this question. It says, when you have, like, Mike, what do you want to be remembered for at the end of this life?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Me, I want to be remembered who someone was that did their best to walk their life in God's way, and was a great husband, an amazing husband, and even amazing more father, and a person that, I guess when I think about it, I have it tattooed on me, right? And this, joy in chaos is tattooed on my arm, because I think of a person, if my purpose is to bring joy in this life to people, to myself and to other people, and no one can steal that from me, no one can take that from me, no one can buy that from me. Like, that's my purpose, is to, be remembered as someone who was, man, Mike brought joy in this world.
Amen.
Hopefully it says that on my
on your tombstone. Yeah. Well, thanks, man, for coming out to the show. This is cool.
This is fancy stuff.
You're going to be out here. You're going to be coming out, and we're doing lots more of these.
behind the scenes, or behind the cut.
Yeah, behind the scenes. Next episode, we got plenty more to talk to.
Definitely.
So until next week, may you unleash your purpose into profit in business, faith, and life. See you next week.
Thanks for joining us for the Unleash Your Purpose podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. We'll see you next week.